Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be kind of a response video to a video that Andrew, Tales from the Crate, put up about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that. But it was just kind of a really cool video that he did where he was just kind of showing deep cuts. That was kind of the subject matter, and I watched his video, and I love the stuff that he pulled out and that he was talking about, and it just really kind of got my wheels turning and just kind of inspired me to make a video. So thanks for that, Andrew. That's always an awesome thing. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of, piggyback on what you were doing here and just kind of show some deep cuts as well. And so again, the idea for maybe those who don't know that term or whatever, it's just kind of really talking about looking at bands that are kind of bigger name bands, that maybe vast majority of people would know, so nothing obscure, that type of thing, and just some songs in their catalog that maybe aren't as big, they aren't as well known, but yet you think are just really, really incredible songs. So that's kind of the basic concept of deep cuts. And it's kind of tough too because, obviously you can think something's a deep cut and then find out later that everyone else in the world kind of knows about it. But that's kind of the way that I looked at it, was with friends that I've had over the years, sharing music and talking about music, and people I've interacted with here on the VC. These are just kind of songs and things that I just have not heard a lot of people talk about very much. So in that regard is where I come up with them being deep cuts. But again, I'm probably going to say a couple things here that 90% of the VC goes, oh yeah, I listen to that all the time. So kind of take that with a grain of salt. That's my thinking on how I got to my answers here. So let me start off here with probably my favorite. I mean, as soon as I thought about this was the first one that came to mind. And this is Blues Traveler. This is the maxi single for Runaround. I actually got this when this first kind of came out and was big back in the early 90s or mid 90s. But yeah, I bought this maxi single for the song Runaround. But what I ended up discovering is two songs off of this, which is Regarding Stephen and Escaping. And as you can see right here on the back, both of those are, if I can get the glare out of there, are non-LP tracks, which makes me have to wonder who in the heck was deciding what was going on the album for. Because Regarding Stephen is, in my opinion, without question, probably the best song, best track that Blues Traveler has ever done. It's, I mean, it fits so well with what's-his-name's vocals. The subject matter is so powerful, and to this day, it is my favorite Blues Traveler song. So I have no idea how that didn't make the LP. But if you are a Blues Traveler fan and never heard that song, even if you're just kind of so-so, definitely check that song out because it is freaking awesome. And then also Escaping is another great song on here, which is also a non-LP track, which I think is a fantastic track by them. But how both of those songs didn't make the album is just totally beyond me. Excuse me. But Regarding Stevens for sure. The next one I'm going to go to here is off of the Kiss Crazy Nights album, which again, this is one of my top 3 favorite Kiss albums. I don't know if it makes the top of the charts for a lot of people, but the song Turn on the Night is, again, one of my favorite Kiss songs. It's one of those songs that fits really well into what I consider that party rock type of music, and that it's just a fun, energetic type of rock album. Sometimes I think rock and hard rock gets so locked into being like tough, if you will, or that type of thing, and sometimes there's some songs that really just kind of bring out like the celebration of things, more partying and not like getting messed up partying, but it's like party, like feel good celebration, and that is what Turn on the Night does for me off of that Kiss album. So awesome track. Alice Cooper, of course, everyone knows Alice, the legendary Alice Cooper. And this is a song, an album, Easy Action. And my deep track cut off of this is A Shoe Salesman. Really simple song, about 2 minutes and 33 seconds. And to me, one of my top 5 Alice Cooper songs. There's just something I just love about it. It's really Alice kind of showing his softer vocal side. It's almost like a type of softer rock song that the Rolling Stones would make with a little bit of a hippie feel to it, and being delivered in a softer Alice type of vocal. But I think the song is fantastic. So if you're not familiar with it, you know, definitely check that out. Shoe Salesman by Alice Cooper. And next we're going to go to The Small Faces. Again, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about The Small Faces in general, so I'm not sure if this is considered a deep track or not. But it's the song Devotion Lane, the second track on this album. And this was right when Rod Stewart had joined the band. I think it was right after he left the Jeff Beck band. But yeah, and what Rod did / does, which is he brings that Motown type of soul element to his vocal delivery. And in my opinion, there's no better example than Devotion Lane. And I mean, it's a great song, and you know, it's very kind of churchy, if you will, kind of, you know, soulful. But the thing that really gets me in that, and I don't know what you call it, it's like a kind of a breakdown. It's kind of a part towards the middle / end of the song where the music kicks out, and Rod and what's his name kind of go into this dual kind of solo thing. And again, I don't know how to name it, but it's a part, if you do go listen to the song, it's where they go into the lyrics, and I tried by remembering all the things that you did for me from within, all the things you did for me, just one word. And that 15 to 20 seconds of that little solo piece that they're singing in there, in my opinion, is the most beautiful thing that Rod ever sang in his entire career. And that's what makes that song so special to me. And most people might listen to that and maybe you won't quite hear it because it may come across extremely simple and kind of insignificant. But like with those lyrics I was just talking about there, I mean, I just hear Rod going to church inside. I mean, it's just coming from such a deep and meaningful place in such a soft way. So anyway, let me stop rambling. But yeah, that song, just talk about a deep track for me. Whew. But moving right along, I'll try not to get too deep into each one because you guys know I'll just keep talking and talking. So here we're going with Machine Head, Deep Purple. And it's kind of hard to label anything as a deep track off of this album because it's so freaking well known. But when you compare it to, you know, Smoke on the Water, Highway Star, and stuff like that, I think I'm a Leo is kind of a deep track off of Machine Head. Great, hard, what I refer to as a stiff riff, you know, kind of very, very pointed in the start and end of each chord, which gives it kind of a punching power to it. And of course, the lyric, you know, the delivery of the lyrics is just amazing. So yeah, again, Smoke in the Water, Highway Star tends to really dominate this album. But if you haven't heard, for any reason, I'm a Leo off of this, make sure you check that one out. Another really good one here, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Gimme Back My Bullets. You guys know this album, I'm sure. I'm curious if how many of you might be familiar with the song All I Can Do Is Write About It. One of my top 5 favorite Lynyrd Skynyrd songs. And not only is it the beauty of the delivery in this song, but the subject matter, the storytelling that's within the song is also what makes it magical. Which is basically just kind of some old country boys sitting around talking about why they appreciate, you know, the South, why they appreciate where they live, and kind of going bigger to why they appreciate the country in general, but we're really kind of focusing on the southern part of living and the beauty of it. Like there's a line in there that says, you know, have you ever seen a she-gator protect her youngins or a fish in the river swimming free? Have you ever seen the beauty of the hills of Carolina or the sweetness of the grass in Tennessee? I mean, it's just the way he delivers that, even as cheesy as maybe some of those lyrics sound, I mean, you just get like, holy cow, this is a beautiful freaking country when you really feel like, you know, just the landscape and just kind of, you know, the nature of it. It's like, it's truly beautiful, and you can see how they really hone in on the beauty of Southern life. So again, if you haven't heard that song, All I Can Do Is Write About It, check it out. Van Morrison, and of course everyone knows him. And my favorite Van Morrison song of all time is Joe Harper's Saturday Morning. And that's one that I don't hear spoken about a lot when Van Morrison comes up. Great song, great combination between another great song that kind of brings out that soulful thing that Van Morrison was able to do. So again, not familiar, check it out. Now, I don't know how many people in the VC like this particular artist, and I'm sure Adam and Billy Crayon and a few other of my 80s buddies probably love him, but everyone kind of knows Billy Ocean. I mean, he was huge back in the 80s in the R&B/pop scene. And this is Suddenly, and of course the gigantic hits off of this were Loverboy and Caribbean Queen and stuff like that. But the two gems, I mean, just fantastic songs on this album, Syncopation and Mystery Lady. Oh my goodness. I could easily get rid of the rest of this album and just listen to those two songs for the rest of my life when it comes to Billy Ocean. Those two songs are just phenomenal. So if you are a Billy Ocean fan, make sure you check those two out. Definitely the best songs off of that album. Staying in the 80s a little bit, we have Heart, Bad Animals. This is a pretty big album for them, with songs like Alone and Who Will You Run To, stuff like that. There's the Girl was also another good track. But the song I Want You So Bad is definitely a great deep cut off of this album. And if you're a Heart fan, I think it's one that you'll certainly love. Kind of one of those songs that gives me a creeps a little bit, along with this album cover in general. I know it's always creeped me out for whatever reason. But yeah, so I Want You So Bad off of Heart's Bad Animals. And you might have seen me show this album once or twice in the 10 years I've been doing videos in the VC, because I never stop freaking talking about it. Billy Idol's Rebel Yell. And again, big hits off of this. Rebel Yell, Eyes Without a Face, Catch My Fall, I guess, was kind of somewhat of a hit. But the deep track off of this is The Dead Next Door, which is I think it's the very last track on side 2. But just kind of a unique thing, very creepy type of song, but just kind of a great little emotional piece that Billy put in there. Very cool song, kind of melodic, but definitely a good one to check out there if you're not familiar with that one off the album. And here's one that I think is a deep track, but again, correct me if I'm wrong. The Killers, Sam's Town. Of course, they had big hits like When You Were Young, but the song Bling, Confessions of a King, one of my top 2 favorite Killer songs out of their entire catalog. But I don't recall if that song was ever kind of big or well known or not. But again, let me know if that's a deep track. But for me, it definitely was. Ben Harper. And this is in The Innocent Criminals. He has tons of albums out. And again, I haven't heard a ton of people talk about Ben Harper in the VC, but yeah, I mean, this is probably Lifeline, one of my favorite albums by him. And the song Fool for a Lonesome Train, it's just kind of a good, I don't know, bluesy kind of soft type of thing. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's a track I haven't heard spoken about in the VC in the years I've been around. And got like 3 more here, or 4 more. Paul Revere and the Raiders. This is the best of. And again, they're kind of a well-known group, and this is one where, again, I'm not sure if it's a deep track or just one I think should get more props, but it's the song Just Like Me, which I think is one of the most perfect garage rock type of songs. It's kind of the perfect blueprint for garage rock, in my opinion. There's some songs you just kind of have to give those type of props to. When I think about garage rock, I think, Hang On Sleepy by the McCoys. No matter how much you like it or not, I mean, it's kind of like, that is classic garage rock. Or Louie Louie by the Kingsmen. That's kind of some very classic garage rock. And I think Just Like Me fits right on par with those 2 tracks. So, definitely one I have to kind of put on that list as a deep cut, even though it's still a song that kind of shows up on, a lot of their greatest hits albums and stuff like that. So obviously it's not that well hidden, if you will. Next, we're going to go to Prince. And the next one's going to be off of the album Parade. And again, you know, you had big hits like Kiss off of this. You know, Mountains was, I guess, somewhat big. Girls and Boys. But it's the song Sometimes It Snows in April is a total gem off of this album. One of those things that just shows that beauty that could float around inside of Prince's head, right there with all the wackiness that's inside of his head. But like the first 90 seconds through like from the intro to through the end of the first verse, is arguably one of the most beautiful things that Prince ever wrote. I mean, it is just one of those songs just makes you float. So again, if you're not familiar with that, Sometimes It Snows in April, make sure you check that out. Next, we're going to go with Elton John. And here we have Sleeping with the Past. Now, you know, Elton was pretty big in the 80s. I mean, you know, he had a lot of big 80s hits. You know, that's why they call it the blues, I'm Still Standing, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I think in general, Elton is still kind of known more so for his earlier stuff. You know, Yellow Brick Road, Tiny Dancer, all those incredible things that he did. So I just seem to find that his 80s stuff, unless it was a big, huge thing in video rotation, doesn't get as many props as some of his older things. But the song Sacrifice off of this album is, I think, one of Elton's top 5 tracks of all time. So I kind of consider it a deep cut, considering it doesn't get those type of accolades in his career. But yeah, Sacrifice just shows the beauty of what Elton was. His delivery of the lyrics, the power of the storytelling, and in this song, I really love how, I don't know music language because I don't sing and I don't write, so I don't know how to explain things in proper terms. But it's just as he's singing through this song, the way that he transitions so fast between the high-pitched thing that Elton does to the low-pitched thing. There's these different points where he goes like right from a high pitch to a low pitch and just moves back and forth. And again, it just shows the beauty of his voice. And one of my favorite songs by him. So again, Sacrifice by Elton John. Beautiful piece. And last but not least, we're going to pull a couple tracks off of Blue Oyster Cult's. This is The Revolution by Night. Kind of an album I was late to discover. But yeah, definitely, this is Blue Oyster going in their early 80s. I think this was 83, so to speak. And Blue Oyster is always, obviously well known for Burning for You, Don't Fear the Reaper, and, all those kind of big hits that they had. But 2 tracks off of this, which I both consider to be kind of deep cuts, is Take Me Away and Shooting Shark. Take Me Away is just kind of a great, early 80s kind of guitar rock type of track with that Blue Oyster Cult kind of soaring vocal type of thing. But one of the things I think that's really amazing about that song, besides it just being a great song, being a great hard rock song, is the guitar solo inside of Take Me Away. I mean, what's his name? Was it Bloom that was doing the lead on that, or Joe? I can't remember. It was Bloom or Joe, whoever's doing the guitar solo on that. I mean, they just kind of went off, and it's a really cool solo that, again, I just think kind of gets looked over a little bit. So if nothing else, listen to that song just to hear that. And then the other song is Shooting Shark, which is kind of a somewhat melodic type of. That's not even the right word. I don't know how to put it. You just have to kind of listen to it. But it's just 2 songs that I love by Blue Oyster, and I've just never really heard anyone kind of talk about. So Take Me Away and Shooting Shark, make sure you check those 2 out off of that album as well. So there you go, VC. Again, Andrew, great video, man. Thanks for the inspiration. It was really fun kind of going through and picking that stuff out. Let me know what you think. Let me know any of those songs that you are familiar with. And of course, feel free to throw some comments down below of anything that you consider to be awesome deep cuts that you think I may like, kind of based off of some of the stuff I shared there. So take care, VC, and we will talk to you guys soon.